The Zacks rank, value, momentum, growth, and income all factor into Zacks rank buys.
Well, an investment bank and an airline are lighting up the value stock radar this time around. Tracey Ryniec, our value stock strategist, is here with more now. The investment bank, a very well-known name in those circles, Goldman Sachs.
I haven't talked about Goldman Sachs for quite some time.
That's
I
true.
want to say years. You know, their fundamentals have been pretty good over the last couple of years, but for some reason they haven't really shown up on my value screen until now. They just had a really good first quarter. It was their first quarter, their best first quarter since the first quarter of 2011 in terms of revenue. All their segments saw real nice gains. Their advisory and then their stock investing or just investing segment was doing real well. So gotta like kind of where they stand here, especially with interest rates starting to rise, because any kind of lending will be assisted by the rise in interest rates. You don't know what else might be hurt, but you got to kind of like the banks here. This is Zacks number one. So we have the rising earnings estimates. If you're looking for a financial, Goldman, fits in a lot of the categories, even if, it's one you love to hate, one of those kinds of things. But you can look at the rising earning estimates here. It looks real good for 2015, 12% earnings growth. That's a nice double-digit growth for a bank. That's better than most of what, the industry is doing. Of course, they have the big investment side for the investment banking. Right. 2016, still unclear. So the analysts, I think, are being a little conservative on that. But just looking at this year, the story looks good. You can look at this chart. I mean, it's been soaring. It's trading with a forward P of only 11. You also might want to look at the price to book with banks, and they're trading about 1.2, and that's under what their peers are at, which is about 1.9. So that's a real nice value there. So even with shares trading at these highs, I still I like the banks, and I like Goldman Sachs here. They are at the top of the industry.
Hard to argue with success.
Yeah.
All right. Skywest, SKYW, is that airline stock. It's a regional airline.
It is. They operate on behalf of United Express, American Eagle, Delta Connection. They operate about almost 700 regional jets with about 3,500 flights a day. And so if you fly in any of the smaller kind of connection flights or the turboprops even, they fly those. Now, they've kind of been in a transition period here, because they are trying to get their ExpressJet unit profitable. So this last quarter, they actually easily beat the Zacks consensus because that division did far better than what the analysts thought. They're still cutting costs. They're cutting routes. They are having a little bit of squeeze with pilots because even the big majors need pilots now. A lot of the baby boomers retiring, things, and capacity is increasing. So there's a lot of demand for pilots. Regionals, it's a little more difficult to get the pilots, because of pay issues and things. So they're being squeezed a little bit on that. But, contracts being renegotiated, things like that. I have discussed a lot of the airlines recently, and I do like these regional carriers because they do go areas where everyone else isn't going. You can see the rise in the earnings estimates here because of this one segment that's doing far better than what everybody thought it would, and the analysts believe it's going to turn around quicker than what they thought too. So we have very nice earnings estimates. We have a PE of only about 11.5 here. Now, the airlines have historically traded very cheaply, so 11.5, while it's cheaper than the overall stock market, is a little bit pricier for some of the airlines. So I just put a little bit of caution out there that it's not quite as cheap as it was if you look on this chart when the shares really traded down last year.
Well, you even posed the question, have they gotten ahead of themselves?
Right. Everybody's kind of piled into the airline stocks now. We had the low fuel costs. That's already kind of worked its way into all the estimates and everything. And now they're growing a lot, but sometimes capacity isn't good for the airlines because then you have empty seats and it expands your costs. So I do put a little bit of caution. They are an A for the Zacks style score, and then they have the Zacks #1 rank because of the rising earnings estimates. But if you're looking for a regional airline that's kind of in this transformational period, then Skywest is one you might want to look at.
Check out. Okay. Do you own either one of these?
I do not.
All right. Check out other stocks and stock picking strategies on our website, Zacks.com. Link to it all right off the homepage, including stock commentary. Meantime, with Tracey, I'm Terry Ruffalo.